So I'm going to walk you guys through all the steps of the recipe today. And we're going to talk about some life safety and how to cut up some vegetables. Alright, so today we're making our self-less chicken wraps. And what makes it a little bit different than a burrito is that it's just an American version of a burrito. So at the very end of your lab, you're either going to end up with a nicely packed burrito wrap, or you're going to end up with a soft taco because you guys have so much goodies inside that it's just not that close. Unfortunately, I didn't get the big tortillas. Miss Hamilton was happy you got the smaller ones, but that's okay. It still tastes really good, and you guys will still get the same experience. So I did you a favor. If you guys look at your recipes, at the very bottom it says the chipotle dressing. I made you guys the dressing so it's one less stuff that you guys have to worry about. And I also made you guys ranch. So the chipotle is like a salmon color, and then the tan, and then the ranch is the white one. Alright, so we're just going to take from the top of the ingredients, the chicken breast. So if you notice the board, okay, it says color cutting boards are for meat, right? Underline it. Super, super important that we're not cross-contaminating anything in our lab today. Why would we not want to cross-contaminate chicken with our vegetables? We get sick, right? Or what? Salmonella. So at the worst, you'll get salmonella, and at the least, you're going to get the runs. And you might be in your next class when that happens, and that's not good. So make sure that you're using the colored cutting boards. Each one of your kitchens has a colored cutting board, except for Orange Kitchen. Just make sure that you guys designate which one is for meat and which one's for vegetables. The white or clear are for the vegetables. Okay. Also, I have the knives up here. Please don't swap back and forth the knives. That's cross-contamination. Okay. So whoever is your cook, decide if you're going to do the vegetables or you're going to do the meat, and then designate someone else to do the other one that you're not doing. You want a knife for the vegetables and a knife for the meat, and then in your kitchen, you guys have 2 skillets that are non-stick. They have the black Teflon coating so that it helps not to stick. And one will be for chicken, and one will be for your veggies. Okay? So keep them far apart. I want to go over the washing of these things. So when we wash our knives, there's 2 things that we want to avoid. What's one?
Oh, don't let them sit in the sink.
Yeah, we don't want to let them sit in the sink for 2 reasons. Why?
You cut your hand reaching for it.
You cut your hand reaching for it, and what happens to metal when it gets wet? Rust, right? So if you're the cutter, make sure that you wash it, okay? Or you say, hey washer, this is my knife, and you take it and wash it, and then dry it right after, okay? You guys can come up and get your own knives as your lab goes on. We're going to go over the different types of knives that we're going to use in our lab. You might use one for all or all 3 of them, just depending on what you guys use in your lab today. This one, do you guys remember what this one's called? Yeah, chef's knife, okay? A chef's knife is the bigger knife that we're going to use today. It also has a little bit of like a very, very slight bend, so like it's not flat, it kind of rocks, okay? It's our chef's knife. They also come a little bit longer. You guys remember what this one's called? Huh? Utility knife, yeah, utility knife. So it kind of looks like a chef knife. It's in the chef knife family, but it's smaller and made for like easier handling with things. It also has a bigger rocker, okay, bigger rocker. And then we got a little paring knife, okay, it's really tiny. This one has no rocker, it's just straight across, and it's made for cutting out like cores and like bad spots on things. So I pre-washed my tomatoes. So just to show you an example of how to cut out the core, you're just going to stick it in, okay, at about a 45-degree angle like this, and you're going to grab the handle and using your thumb as a fulcrum, like a direction, you're just going to pull the knife blade to your thumb and keep your knife at a 45-degree angle, and then it'll cut out your core. Cool? Okay, so we're going to put our vegetable pieces Put our compost, yeah. So make sure you guys put them all here. As far as like, that's the only time you ever need the paring knife in the slabs. My tomato looks pretty good. It doesn't have any bad spots, but if it did, you guys can go ahead and take those out. You can also use this for peeling too. You just always bring it to your son. So we'll cross this out when we do our potatoes. So I want to upgrade my knife from this because the blade is pretty small. If you look, like the blade is not as big as the tomato. So what would happen is I'd have to do like a sawing motion in order to cut my tomato, right? We want to avoid any kind of sawing because that just leads to more accidents and like not as sharp cuts. Okay, so we're gonna upgrade to our utility knife. Anytime you guys make a cut in your vegetable or your meat, you want to first push down on the tip. Okay, so you're gonna push down on the tip here, and then you're gonna pull the blade towards you. Okay. It's really important because of your thumb. Okay, if you are cutting things and you're just chopping straight down, what's gonna happen is you're probably sooner or later gonna chop the nail piece off or the tip of your finger. It happens all the time. So when you cut forward like this, okay, you're making a slot so that it is easy to pull towards you, and you can see, hey, I'm not gonna cut off my thumb, and I just pull right towards you. Okay, it's super easy to cut yourself. Okay. When you're cutting your tomato pieces, you just want to, so everyone will get a piece about this big. You can grab two if you want, if you like tomatoes. You're just gonna stick it on your flat end, and then you're just gonna cut. Okay. These little ends are horrible. Just put it on the flat end. Okay, and forward and back. You can line them up and then turn them, and then you can make your little. Okay, so if you decide like, hey, my tomatoes, I'm not a tomato person, and you want them to be smaller, that's when you can use the rocking motion of your knife. And you just hold the knife part here, and you just pick up the handle end, and you just chop. Okay. And you can do this until you get the pieces small enough that you want. Cool? Okay. So if you end up having to cut a tomato, you guys can grab a paring knife. Otherwise, the other one. Okay. What about onions? How do we cut an onion? Okay, maybe cut it in half. You know what? Okay, yeah. We're gonna take out the core part. Okay? So for this, I'm gonna use my chef's knife. Okay? And I'm gonna cut off both ends of my onion.
I can cut an onion. I didn't even try.
Alright. Now what are you? Huh?
No. I just use that as an excuse.
So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put on the flat edge, right? I don't wanna cut it like this. It's gonna roll around. I'm gonna put on the flat edge. And I'm just gonna cut straight down. Okay. So you see onion has a bunch of layers, right? You're gonna take off the very outer layer.
No, not that big. Not that big. Oh my god, it's funny, but what? This is different.
So onions are really cool because they grow already pre-cut one way, okay? So if I'm cutting my onion, okay, I only have to cut it like 2 ways because everything else is already cut for me. So when we're chopping, instead of pulling forward, you're gonna put your knife in halfway, and then you can chop down. Okay, so make sure you put it here, make sure your thumb is good, and then you can chop down. Okay.
Do you have gobble?
Yeah, they don't have
Alright, so what can I do if my onions are too big for me? I'm just gonna go right. So I just keep the tip of my knife on the cutting board and I just pick up the handle. Okay? Until I get the pieces that I want.
Is it just a bit?
Okay, what about my lettuce?
She's in the lobby.
What's the first thing I gotta do with my lettuce?
You want to wrap it up?
Can I wrap it? Yes.
When someone puts onion in the kitchen, my eyes get watery.
Alright. So before I wash it, there's two things I want to do. What's the first thing? Huh?
Feel it?
Peel it, yeah. So you're gonna take off, usually, you want to take off the top one or two. My second one is pretty nice, okay? So only taking off one. What's the next thing I want to do?
You wash it.
Oh.
No, cut it.
There's one step before we wash it.
Feel it.
We want to core it. So at the bottom of your lettuce is this little thing right here. This one's kind of stubby, so it's usually they're a little bit bigger. But what you want to do is you want to find a flat surface or like a corner, and you just finish it.
I never did that.
And it comes right out.
They look the same. Okay, some of them are like different colors.
I like how everybody else knows what
See,
Just say that.
So with the lettuce is also kind of like an onion. All you gotta do is just cut it once, okay?
down dog.
And then you love it, right? Okay, so all you're gonna do is just gonna cut it like slices. Okay? Make sure your thumb is not in the picture. So you have these slices up here, and you're just gonna cut it again. Okay, so create little like lettuce pieces for your wrap. Okay, any questions about the vegetables? What color cutting board do we use for meat? What color?
Color.
And we use what color for veggies?
White.
This is a what kind of knife? Chef knife. This is a utility knife and a paring knife. Okay.
That's more green than that.
When you get to your kitchen, everything is on the table for you guys, okay? Before we start our lab, I need to remind you guys, okay? I know that there, like I told you, there's going to be a lot of ingredients that you may or may not like, and there might be a lot of things that you may or may not have tried. So today's lab is a Southwest chicken wrap, okay? That might not be the way you want to eat it, but that's the way we're going to make it, okay? So if you do not like vegetables and you hate tomato, you hate onion, then you can saute them. Sauteing them is just putting them in the pan with a little bit of oil, and you're going to fry them on a medium heat to where they become translucent or clear. Onions and your tomatoes get more like a spaghetti sauce. How they're not like slightly, they're more like put together. Yes. It's like it's part of the whole thing. Yeah, you can call it. Alright, so every single person must, in order to do the food review, right, you have to try at least one bite with the vegetables. One bite. If you don't like the one bite, then you the rest of your thing can do however you want it. You have to try one bite. Okay? Any questions? Okay, you guys are good to go.
I thought you were.
Did you think I was here?
I seen you at school today. I think you were here, so I was like, bro, we can't even still got
To get your meat, just bring in colored name limits. Yeah.
Seems like a vibe though.
Yeah, yeah. Seems like what?
Seems like a vibe. You should have told me.
No, I would just, it's the same exact process, it's just thicker and a little bit like yes, very similar. One lucky
Yes.
Yeah, it's really fast right there. Just take It's already dead.
I don't like blood.
We bring in a small cutting board, and then I touch over Are you ready for the
I'm snagging this one. Watch out. Watch out. Oh my god.
This one's already.
What's the secret here?
This is already ready to go.
I thought we was
That's fun. Ariel looks fancy.